Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Make Sense with Your Money show. My name is Cynthia Hurley, and today I'm going to be talking about something that almost every household can relate to. What is that? The new American dream. Now, I know that we've been on a hiatus, but we're back. So I want to thank all of you for reaching out to me saying, we miss you. When are you coming back? I appreciate the love. Okay. But to get right into it, for years, we were told that the American dream was simple: get a job, buy a house, raise your family, live comfortably, and pass something down. That's what we have learned. At least that's what we've been told. But today, the American dream is changing. It has changed. I know a lot of you can identify with me that it has changed, okay? Homeownership used to basically represent stability, right? But now, many families, homeownership comes with pressure. You know, when we talk about pressure, I'm talking about high property taxes, high insurance, high utilities. All of those things that come with owning a house, right? And not even only that, you got adult children now who are moving back home because it's too expensive out here in these streets. So they coming back to where they know that, they're welcome, and, that they can be able to, live. And that is home. So tonight we're going to be talking about home ownership. And is it still the American dream, or has the dream changed? All right, let's get right into the show. Now, I want to start with the facts. Okay. Now, I know a lot of people be watching this and you're in different states, but I live in New York City. Okay. And the median at I'm talking about what they're asking for rent now. What is the median asking price for rent? Now, I'm going to say that, I've traveled, talked to people, and know that rent is not only high in New York, like it's really increasing in other states as well. But in New York right now, you talk about $3,000, $3,600 a month. Now that's just for the median rent income, right? That means that people listen, $3,600 for a 2 bedroom. That's insane. That's more than my mortgage. Hello, right? But this is what we're dealing with. Okay. Now, homeowners are struggling too. Not all of them. Everybody's struggling. I'm not saying that. This is for those who are. Okay. But people think that, oh, because you own a home, you're good. You're not struggling. That's not necessarily the case. There are some homeowners who are struggling. Okay. And, you may have somebody who owns a home, right? And they may have equity in the home. Okay. But that doesn't mean that they have the cash in their pockets. Big difference. All right. But people judge you by the fact that you own a home. You can have a house with a whole lot of equity, but you can still be struggling to pay your taxes, to pay your insurance, to get your house repaired, to pay the bills. That's what I call being house rich and cash poor. The old American dream was owning the house. The new American dream is being able to afford to keep it. So let's look at, because I'm telling you, I know that when politicians run, they say anything to get elected. And we all know that. If you don't know that, shame on you. But I want to make sure I stay focused, because I'll get off into something else when I start talking about that. But what I want to say is that they know what pain points to hit so that they can get our vote. Okay. Now, what people don't see in these hidden costs, I'm talking about when you get a house, right? Right? You see the front porch, you see the driveway, you see the property value. You don't see the taxes. You don't see the insurance renewals. You don't see the roof repairs. You don't see the boiler replacement. You don't see all of that. And in New York, homeowners are feeling squeezed from every direction. We have our mayor that, y'all elected because he made a lot of promises, but they all make promises. But sometimes they're not always able to fulfill those promises. I just want y'all to remember that. Let me move on. All right. So mortgage rates are still around the mid 6% range. But I remember when the mortgage payments were much higher than that. And I'm talking about years ago when I first got into the mortgage game. We talking 10%. And back then that was normal. So mid 6% range, that's not bad at all. I mean, yes, we would love it to be lower, right? But it's not. So we know that the American dream has changed. Okay, so we know that it has changed now. Years ago we said, yeah, it was to get a job, raise a family, all of that. But now, okay, what is it? The dream is becoming keeping up with rising costs. How do we do that? Right? Creating multiple streams of income. Yeah. These adult children that's moving back home. I mean, like, really? But this is what's going on. Okay. So, and that's a whole nother situation there. So are you taking care of them, or are they moving home with a goal, with a strategy, right? Are they moving home with their significant other and you are allowing that? I mean, what is the plan? All of these things are happening, but you can't be the parent that let anything goes, right? You have to make sure you set some ground rules with that, okay? Being that you know that this is what's happening. We also looking at, people who are about to retire, right? Or have retired. They worrying about running out of money because expenses are so high, okay? So the what people are actually looking at now is, how can I make this house work for me financially, or what other type of options I have, or what I can do, okay? Because that's the type of economy that we're living in now. I mean, it's the type of economy that we're living in. And I mentioned the children coming back home because it's normal. I know a good friend of mine, her son was out on his own. He was actually renting a room at a house. His friend's mother was renting out the room. He had the room, but then the mother decided to sell the property. And her son didn't want to come back home. He actually, talked to his friend and said, yo, why don't we just get an apartment together? Your mom is selling. I don't really want to go back home. I want to. And that friend of his was like, listen, I ain't trying to be going out there paying no $3,600, $3,000 for rent. I have it better at home with mom. And that's what's going on today. All right. So it's all about economics. That's what it is. And that's what it is, period. It's about the Benjamins, baby. It's becoming too expensive for people to try to maneuver to make things work. And, people are just looking at how can I make my machine work, create a system for myself to make it work. Because when you look at a 1-bedroom and it's costing upwards of $3,000, $2,500, that's insane. So, we talk about, we always should have an emergency. Most financial people, they say, oh, you need to prepare for emergencies. But what if the problem isn't an emergency? What about if your problem is that everything costs more? And that's what we're dealing with now. Everything costs more. The eggs cost more, right? Going to get your nails done for the women, that costs more. Haircuts are $50 now. I was like, $50 for a haircut? Yes, it's $50 for a haircut. So, insurance is costing more. We're not even going to talk about gas, right? You talking $5 a gallon. Let's just round it off. So even traveling, for those people who are, they call them the gig economy, those who are riding the bikes and doing the Uber and the Lyft, most of their money is being eaten up on gas. So it's really like crazy out here now. But anyway, so many families aren't being destroyed by one major emergency. Guess what they're being destroyed by? They're being destroyed by hundreds of small increases, because you got the increase in this, you got the increase in that, you got the increase. Everything is an increase. All right. So home ownership alone is not enough, right? Because owning a property, yeah, that's good. No, I'm not saying anything's wrong with it. It's actually powerful. You got some assets, but home ownership is not enough. You need a plan. Hello. You need credit. You need to have reserves, right? You need to also figure out, right, your estate planning, like a strategy, an income strategy, that is, because things has changed. It's not how it used to be. Not when our generation. This whole system of government has changed. And the quicker we realize that, the quicker we can, not become victim to it, but look at other ways. Like, I'm not going to become victim to this. Got to come up with a strategy, right? All right. So, a house should not be just a place where you live. It should be a part of your financial plan as well. So it is not that what I'm saying is, it doesn't mean that, go start renting out rooms and renting out your basements and all that kind of stuff. No, it means that as a homeowner, you need to think differently. Okay. Now, for those of you who don't own a home, this applies to you too, because watch this, you have to be more strategic with your money, right? You have to be more strategic. But back to the homeowners, I want to say something. Ask yourself this question: is your home helping you build wealth, or is it draining you every month? It's a question that you need to, ponder on. But I'm not going to leave you depressed tonight. That's not what this show is about, right? I just wanted to talk about some practical things that you can do right now. But I just wanted to highlight some of the things that we're all going through. Not that you need to hear it, because it's in black and white. Every day you turn on the news, you hear this about what Trump is doing and what Trump ain't doing and what Trump should be doing. But I don't live my life based off of what Trump is doing, because I come from a different kingdom. I'm a citizen of a different kingdom, if you know what I mean. Okay. Those who know what I mean, y'all know what I mean. So let's look at some strategies. Okay. What type of strategies that you can look at? I know the first thing that people say, you audit your expenses first, your bigger expenses. That's what people say. Oh, well, I need to cut down on some things. Maybe I need to stop doing this, cutting my coffee down, don't get no subscriptions. But the real money that you're spending, yes, I'm not discounting those things, but the real money is in your housing, your transportation. Yes, because that gas, right? And also in your transportation, and in your insurance. When was the last time you shopped around for auto insurance? When was the last time you shopped around for, I know renter's insurance is not expensive. Well, at least the last time I was, because I used to be a property and casualty broker, but I don't deal with it no more. So I don't really know what the cost is, but I know that renter's insurance was not that expensive. It was actually very cost effective. But my question to you is, when is the last time because that auto insurance is another one. And now when you drive around, you see everybody with these out of town plates, because you can get insurance cheaper in Pennsylvania. You can get insurance cheaper in North Carolina. Am I saying that's the right way to go? No, but listen, I understand. People are not getting insurance in New York because it's too expensive. And many people overpay, and I know you probably compared rates or whatever, but there's a lot of things you can do to save money on insurance. But let me tell you something. I know for a fact, being used to being a broker, that insurance rates in New York are insane. So a lot of people opt to do that, but try to shop around and see if you can, do things that can uh, use some strategies or some type of, to get your rates lower. Okay. That's another area that you can, possibly save some money in if you don't have no, if you're not using out of town relatives, if you know what I mean. Shop those three areas. Okay. Another saving strategy is you got to listen, watch this. Let me see how I'm gonna say this. I ain't offending nobody. Okay. I ain't offending. Look, I ain't offending anyone. But I would suggest, a lot of people are financing their lifestyle. What does that mean? Everything is not a payment plan. Everything that you see don't mean that you got to have it. That's what I'm saying. Buy now, pay later. That buy now, pay later, that's a trap. Because the more people that I sit down with, it's interesting of how many of those companies are listed on the credit report. I mean, everything is being financed by buy now and pay later. And what's so interesting about that particular company, a firm, and Sizzle, I think that's the name of it, right? Is that every time you finance something with them, it's not one account, it's like multiple accounts. I actually am working with a client right now who has about over 50, probably more than that. I've never seen anything like that. But watch this though. People are financing everything. They're financing furniture. They're financing electronics. They're financing their vacation. Everything is being financed. So I would challenge you, right, that you don't accumulate no new debt in 90 days. Don't accumulate no new debt in 90 days. Because watch this. And this is the problem, the challenge that happened with this client of mine's is that all of those little payments, guess what they amount up to? Rent. Because if you're paying, and you're paying every 2 weeks with that, you're not paying every month, you're paying every 2 weeks. So you think that you're getting a discount, I guess you think you're affordable, but no, because if you are not in control of that, not good, not good. So that's strategy number two. What is strategy number three? Well, now people are creating additional income streams. Yeah, because now I'm not saying not five. I'm not telling you to do four. I'm telling you to do one. One additional income stream. What is it? What is your superhero? Everybody got a superhero. They just don't believe that they got a superhero. Or they may think that their superhero is not going to make the money. Listen, you'd be surprised how many people are really making money. They're making money because they're focusing on, they have focused and started a business using their talent, their superhero. So I would challenge you. I don't know what your superhero is. It could be tutoring, right? It could be childcare. It could be cooking, notary, whatever, consultant. I don't know what it is, but tap into your superhero. And it's interesting. Every time when I'm on the computer, if I'm on my phone, and you got these pop-up ads, and there's this ad called Curservo or something like that. I believe it's Curservo or something, Curservio, where you have these people who are, they have this one example where this guy's working in a gas station, and the owner of the gas station is taking advantage of him, overworking him, not paying him what he deserved. And then you got this, and I think the commercial is like, so it hits a pain point because people are tired of being overworked and underpaid. And that's exactly what this commercial hits that pain point. But when this guy finds out that there's an app that can help you to identify your super talent and then show you how to make money off of it, then he ends up leaving his job. So I've seen two scenarios like that, because I'm sure you probably have, because it pops up when you on your phone. You know how to do these pop-ups. It's either on the phone or YouTube or something like that. So people are, yeah, that's something that you can do. Tap into your superhero and see. You never know what can come out of that, right? Because watch this. One extra $500,000 a month, watch this. It won't make you rich, but I tell you what, It'll keep you from using them credit cards. It'll keep you from doing them buy now, pay later loans. Hello, somebody. Hello, hello, hello. Okay, all right. And another option you can do too is you can use your house smarter, right? That can become part of your financial plan. What does that mean? I'm not saying that. I know now I talk a lot about group homes, but they have other options, right? They have traveling nurses, flight attendant housing, they have, senior housing, shared housing. I mean, maybe you may want to even the church, the church also, if you can, partner with your church, but you still have to pray about whatever you do. I'm a big believer that you pray. Don't be making no decisions because you want to make money. God may not want you to go that way, but you pray and see, how you can use your house to make extra money if that's something that you want to do. But I always say pray, especially when you're going to use your own house. But listen, I'm seeing more and more people use housing to create income instead of just simply, paying. They're using their house. So that may be something that you can do. But like I said, pray about it first. What's the fifth thing? Fifth strategy? Get serious about your credit. Watch this. Bad credit is too expensive. Matter of fact, is extremely expensive, right? A person with poor credit, y'all know, we often pay more for car insurance. No, we do pay more for car insurance, right? Not we, people. Let me get myself out of that category. People pay more for car insurance. They pay more for credit cards. They pay more for personal loans. They pay more for loans. They pay more for everything. You refinance it twice, basically. People with bad credit, you refinance the item twice. You pay for it twice. Yes. All right. Number 6, not an emergency fund you build. What do you build? A pain relief fund. What is a pain relief fund? What exactly is that? What is that? Okay. Well, you can just put some money away. You start with $500, right? And then you can continue to add to it till you get up to about $1,000, right? At least try to build up 1 month's expenses. What is this fund for? Well, it could be for a car repair. It could be for your utilities. I don't know. Prescription. I don't know. There's things that happen unexpectedly. But the goal is to avoid reaching for the credit card, because credit card and then buy now, pay that what is that thing, sizzle. But normally people use the buy now, pay later loans to buy new things. You don't need new things, right? No. What you need is some financial guidance, direction. Okay. All right. Now, number 7, if you got kids in your house, strategy number 7, if you have your adult children that have come back home. I know how people are with their children, right? If you have adult children that have come back home, I would recommend that you sit down and have a conversation with them, right? Don't just let them come and stay and there's no plan, right? I actually was having a conversation with someone recently, and they was telling me about a situation where a friend of theirs, their kids, all of her kids are home with her. She can't even make any money off her property because all her kids are occupying the space. But not only are they occupying the space, they have their significant others there with them, and ain't nobody paying no bills. You got to blame the parent for that. So I hope that you're not one of those, right? You want to know how long they staying? Look, what debts are you paying off? What are you contributing to the household? Now, it's okay if you allow them to stay there until they can get themselves together. But at some point, this is where responsibility come in, right? Are they really saving their money? How much are you saving? Like, you got to have these conversations with them, right? What is your exit strategy? It's a good one. What is your exit strategy, right? Moving back home should not be a launch pad. Hello. It should be a launch pad, not a landing pad, is what I wanted to say. Okay? Because it should be something temporarily, not something permanent, unless they're going to be renting out from you. Okay? Yeah. Strategy number 8. Listen, people, sometimes if you just come together, I don't know, maybe it's with families, maybe if you share resources, like maybe somebody, you can't get home to pick up your child. Maybe your family member could pick up the child. Maybe y'all can carpool to, I don't know, church support systems, right? Family support networks that help, especially for single parents or people who are really struggling. It's getting kind of just challenging out here. Not for everybody, but for a lot of people it is, right? And sometimes the answer isn't always more money, but it's maybe you need a stronger community that can help out too, right? So these are just some of the things that I just wanted to share with you about this so-called American dream. But the new American dream that people are embracing today is about having more stuff. And it's not about that, right? The old American dream was much more, the foundation was stronger. But now this new American dream, I don't know what these people do, what these youth are doing, or what these people are doing, right? The new American dream is not about having more stuff. It's about having options. It's about reducing financial stress, right? It's about creating income, managing your debt, perfecting your credit, right? And making smart financial decisions. That's what the new American dream should be. The new American dream they got now is everybody want to impress one another. We want to impress this one. We want to impress that one. You look on social media, oh, they driving that car. Let me look like I have more money so I can make more sales, so people could think I'm balling, so I can let people think that I'm like I'm some type of financial guru, and I can get all these people on the social media and they're gonna send me their money and I'm not gonna do what I'm supposed to do. I see it all the time. People always calling me, I did this with this one and they didn't. Lies. Watch this. The new American dream, that's what it is about, because everybody want to impress people. But the goal should not be to impress people. The goal should be to create stability. Stability is what the new luxury is. Let me say that again. Stability is the new luxury. And with that, that's going to be it for tonight's show. But I want to leave you with this. Remember that the goal is not just to own something, No, the goal is to build something that lasts. That's what you want. Everybody owns something. You own shoes and clothes and this and that. You want to build something that lasts. So ponder on that. What are you building that is going to last? All right. All right. So I want to thank you so much for tuning in. All right. Tune in again. We'll be here again next Wednesday at 7 p.m. Legacy is what you want to build. I'll see you in the next episode.